either skincare or like makeup corporation. But that's like going big.
Mhm.
I feel like that's like dreaming big for me.
Why is that dreaming big? That's actually good because what we want students to do, especially those graduating who are seniors, we want them to get more specific in their job search and target the companies and the industries that they want. Because if you're applying to 1,000 jobs, you can't do a good job at it. But if you're
Yeah.
applying to this specific industry, you can do a better job of tailoring things so that that AI recruiter
Yeah.
is able to look at your resume, scan it, and hopefully kick it to an actual human being, HR
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
an actual recruiter.
Maybe it's just being like not doubting yourself, but I know that like what if I'm not fit for that job? And like
Mhm.
you won't find out until you try it.
Yeah. Well, you,
Yeah.
you and you won't find out until you apply too.
Yeah.
That's the key. And the other thing that's kind of crazy is right now, the bottom rung of the career ladder for new graduates is harder to get onto because AI has kicked so many of those bottom rungs off.
Hmm.
So the mid-level folks are doing the work of the entry-level folks with AI instead of with an intern or with a, someone who just came to the company. And so companies will find it more difficult to grow because of that. It's harder to find. Like, start now, Monty. Start now. Like, get
And
focused, get narrow, and say, this is my graduation date, this is my availability date. Start crafting the language in your resume to fit those jobs that you want. And don't feel like skincare is unattainable because skincare, just like any other corporation or organization, needs people who do HR, needs people who do PR. You're more interested in HR than PR? Or
well, honestly, both. I mean, a lot of it's because the people that I spoke to are mostly like people who've worked in HR. So they're like, it's so beautiful working with like different people. And of course, it is, right? You learn a lot. But I haven't met someone who worked in PR.
Mhm.
So that'd be kind of fun.
So you're going to create a campaign for a target audience, and that will give you a taste of PR. And so, yeah, start applying now because you'll have a portfolio. And don't feel like anything is unattainable because it's not until you try, right? Like the
Yeah.
if skincare is your jam, yes, do it. Try and apply to as many as you possibly can, as early as you possibly can. You never know when somebody is going to be looking to grow their business because that's what you are. You're growing their business. You're not growing your business, you're growing their business. And
Yeah.
that's the other option. And I think that a lot of people, because the bottom of the career ladder is becoming so much more difficult, I think we're going to have a lot more entrepreneurs in this generation, people who are going to start their own businesses and do their own thing and start their own agencies to do their own thing. And that's a risk. And that takes a lot of time to get established and get known. So
Yeah.
if you're going to do that, that's also a start now kind of situation, isn't it?
It
Especially,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're a college student who has the advantage of having other people helping to support you, then you would have the advantage of being able to start something with less risk at this point in your life. Because when you get older, I'm not going to presume to project your life and what's going to happen to you, but when people get older, they tend to have children sometimes. And then you have financial responsibilities that are beyond you, and then that makes it more difficult to start your own business because that liability becomes a risk that is more than if you are, for example, able to leverage the fact that you're not paying as much rent with living at home with your parents to create your own business. So I think we're going to see a lot more people doing the create your own business thing personally, but
Yeah,
it's not for everyone because there's risk. And the
for
risk
sure.
there is being sued. We live in a sue happy culture, and people don't want to start businesses usually because they don't want to deal with the legal part.
Of
But
course.
everything else is just like any other business. You're doing paperwork, you're paying your taxes, especially if you're a solopreneur and you don't have any employees and you're just yeah, I have my own agency, I'm doing my own thing, and that's how I'm going to start. Then it's pretty simple. It's a lot like that. But as soon as you start adding employees, then you add complexity, and you have to have layers of protection to protect yourself and your business. The more people that are between you and the customer, the less money you make.
Yeah.
And so if you're working in an organization, you're getting paid a salary based on the customers the organization is servicing. Whether it's a productized kind of thing or it's a service-based thing, there's more layers between you and the money.
Yeah.
And you want the money so you can pay your bills, right? So you can
Yeah.
grow your wealth hopefully over time. And that risk is the price you pay to have the opportunity to earn more money, basically.
So how you said kind of like start now, when you go and apply for a job and you turn in your resume, how, because I know all of it is like AI. So they basically put in like the words that they're like, like keywords that are supposed to be in your resume. How are you supposed to know? And how are you supposed to tailor to what they're looking for? Because sometimes it won't just be like, if you're applying for HR, it won't just be like, the customer, not customer service, but like how do you know that you're tailoring to what their needs are?
Yeah, so first off, keep in mind everyone else who's applying has the exact same problem. And the way that most people would do it is they're looking at what keywords are in the job description. And they're going to tailor their approach to that job by looking at the keywords in the job description, and they're going to create a new version of their resume that fits that job description. And that's just the base level. That's just the base level of customization. That's the bare minimum you should be doing. And that's
Mhm.
why people who are applying to thousands of jobs and being like, am I not hearing back? It's because you have a generic resume that's not fitting that particular AI driven keyword search from the job description. So, first source to answer your question is the job description itself. And the second is the company website and the values that they have and the things that they're celebrating. So, those two things together should help you craft a more appealing presentation of self that takes your real experience to put in terms that match the job description. And that's different from lying. We're not lying. We're just using the language that they use to describe what we're doing. And if it doesn't fit, I'm not applying for the job. I'm going to find a different one. That's the key, really.
Like, what would you do?
You technically do need experience to do an HR job, and this would serve that purpose
Yeah.
because that experience then can be parlayed into, oh, I've been an employee at one of the top companies. I mean, HEB and USA, as far as San Antonio goes, are both excellent, highly rated employers. So
Hmm.
you can say, I have worked here and I have worked here, and these are the things that I've done. And you can leverage that into what I really want to do is HR, or what I really want to do is PR, and say, these experiences, this real corporate job is different from this other job that was more of a job. You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
there's jobs and there's career jobs. And it
Yeah.
sounds to me like the interview that you had was more for a career job. Like I want to see if you want to be an insurance agent and this is what you want to do longer term.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any downside to taking a job that will help you get the job that you want, because that experience gets you in the door at USA, which is a company that has HR too. And you
Okay.
could say, okay, I've done this for a year, I've done this for 2 years, whatever, however long you do it. What I'd really like to do is see if there's an opening in HR, and then you're already in that organization. You have a much better chance of being able to move laterally to another department in
Mm-hmm.
that organization. That being said,
Mm-hmm.
life is short.
Mm-hmm.
You need to do what you want to do. And,
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow's never promised. Looking for an HR job and trying to do the thing that you want to do, or looking for a PR job and trying to do the thing that you want to do,
Yeah.
that is not going away. Nothing says that if I take this job, I can't still look for that other job. Nothing says that if you take this job, you can't interview for another job. There is an expectation that whenever you sign up to work for an employer, you're not going to leave right away. So
Yeah.
understand the level of commitment that you're making. Being transparent with them up front and say, I'm taking this job because I believe it will be an amazing experience to get the job that I really want at your organization.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the truth, right?
Yeah.
You want it at their organization. And,
Mm-hmm.
and and so I think that approach helps you pay your bills, helps you get some experience, and helps you, because that experience, like HR is dealing with employees.
Yeah.
Have you been an employee at a major company? Yes, HEB, you were an employee. So the
Yeah.
question is, do you have experience in that job that will help you in your HR job? Well, this
Mhm.
will certainly help fill that picture, right? And
Yeah.
build that more complete picture of employee relations and job performance. And you're interfacing with HR people in those roles.
I get into the summer internship, but I've already taken the job at USAA. Like, I feel like there's
Yeah.
so much on like so much to think about. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
and you have to weigh the pros and cons of the internship experience
yeah.
in helping you to get your ultimate goal. I think what some people do is they'll lose their eyes on the prize. They won't keep their eyes on the prize. They won't keep the focus of what they really want. And then they get a job and they're like, wow, this is great. This pays great. So I'm going to compromise and just do this because it pays good and I'm pretty good at it, right? And honestly, that's how jobs work sometimes. Sometimes that thing that you thought you wanted, you didn't realize that this thing that you got was so good. Like insurance could be the thing that lights you up. You don't know until you try it. right?
Yeah.
Like maybe insurance is your true passion. You don't really know until you try it.
Yeah.
But as you're planning out your life,
Hmm.
right? Where do you
Yeah.
see yourself in 5 years is the question they ask in interviews for a reason. They want to know if you are the kind of person who's going to stick with that company, right? Because
Hmm.
they're investing in you by hiring you. They're investing in you with training opportunities, with all the things that come with that particular job. So if you get trained as an insurance person, well, now you can advance and get your next license. Oh,
Yeah.
there's a new license you can get. And we can train you on this. And guess what? When you get those licenses, we can pay you more. You see how that career ladder works? It's,
Yes.
insurance is a little clearer than other places because you're actually getting real certifications that you can use, and that makes you more valuable so that you can earn more money and you can work your way up the career ladder that way.
Yes.
And that's the thing, the career ladder, like it's being destroyed by AI right now. Like that's
Hmm.
understand. But licenses, like credentials, those sorts of things help distinguish you from other people who are looking at that same job. And usually companies will invest in their own people and train them and help them get their certifications so that they can get paid more money. And with more money, you can have more time. And with more time, you can pursue these other hobbies and passions. Like if you're really into beauty, for example, and makeup and stuff,
Hmm.
like what a fun side hustle, right? Like
Yeah.
that seems like a pretty cool side hustle to me. On
Hmm.
the flip side, if you're so passionate about beauty that you can't sleep at night unless you're doing something beauty driven,
Hmm.
right? You have to be with a beauty company because that's just your jam. Well,
Yeah.
this insurance thing all of a sudden doesn't, it's not a good fit. And companies want to hire people who are a good fit. And,
Hmm.
and it's our responsibility to be honest with them and say, you know what, I'm not a good fit here. I really want this kind of job. When you're young, you have more opportunities to take jobs you don't necessarily want
Yeah.
because you're gaining the experience to do the things you really want.
Hmm.
As you get older and you have more responsibilities, some of those doors close because you got to pay your bills,
Yeah.
and if your bills are lower, you have more freedom. You
Yeah.
don't have kids, you have more freedom.
Yes.
I don't presume to know whether you plan to have children or not. I'm just saying I do. And so therefore I have less opportunities for investment because I'm
Yeah.
investing in my children in time, energy, and money.
I do eventually want to have kids and I want to have a family and everything, but I want to get ready for that. So of course, like I think I'm one of those people that overthinks too much to where I'm like, well, what if I do this and then later on I'm going to regret it? I'm not going to have enough money to provide for my family.
And that's the thing. One of my mentors, Chris Doe, I think you might have seen the video that I did with him. He talks about how to decide is to make a decision. It's like a death. It's the root word
Yeah.
is death. So, like, of course, decisions are going to be hard, right? And
Hmm.
I really like that metaphor that he uses because so many people that I talk to who are about to graduate don't want to make the decisions that could benefit their after graduation. And the sooner you make those decisions and you choose those paths, the more it frees you up to focus on that one thing, be it insurance or beauty or HEB internship, like whatever it is, just you make the decision and then you stick to it until it doesn't work for you and it doesn't serve you. And if it doesn't serve you, you give them your 3, 6, like give them be a good person, right? Like give them plenty of time to find someone to replace you.
Yeah.
And you might even say, I got 6 months,
Hmm.
after you find a job or something, because you want to take care of yourself and you want to take care of the people that you're working for too, right?
Yeah, of course. And see, that's yeah, that's really what I was scared of is like, let's say I make this one decision and like my worry is like I won't be able to come back from it.
Oh no, there's no such thing. And when you're younger, you don't have that worry about that as much because you're younger. Like you have the years to come back from things. You
Hmm.
have time to change your mind now that you
Yeah.
will not have later. Because once you get into a career path and
Hmm.
you start moving up, you get paid a little bit more for deciding to stick with that career path.
Yeah.
Usually. Unless it's education, in which case, no, you don't. But most other jobs, most other private sector jobs will pay you more if you stick with that path, you know?
Hmm.
So that means you have less options and you have, people call them the golden handcuffs, right? Oh
Hmm.
gosh, they're paying me so much for a job that I don't like. And eventually they have to leave because they got burnt out and they're not doing what they love. They're not fulfilling their mission and passion. And
Yeah.
and if you make better decisions now, you won't get those golden handcuffs, right?
Hmm.
Uh,
Yes.
but the golden handcuffs aren't a bad thing because you got, it's America. You can choose to leave that at any time
Hmm.
Though it pays great, you can say, okay, what are my other options at any time? No matter your age, you can always start over. It's just more costly.
Don't just get a job because it pays you well. Because right now I'm at USAA and I'm like up there, and I can't go down because no one wants me because they think that with my experience and this and this and that. And I was like, oh my goodness, like what do you mean? Like I don't know what to do, and like, but after he was telling me that, like he was like, do what you love. Like even if you think you're gonna risk it all, just do what you love. And I was like, honestly, like I think he was almost like gonna retire, and they were basically living their life. Like I think they're traveling now and all that. So I'm just like, what do I do?
Yeah. I subscribe to the Follow Your Bliss, which is Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey, the hero with a thousand faces. He's famous for that. And
Mhm.
his Follow Your Bliss idea is basically, yes, do what makes you happy. However, we live in a real world, and ideally, you want things that make you happy and also meet a market need.
Yeah.
And if you can hit those two things, that's the ideal situation. But the truth is, not everybody can find that. The truth is, sometimes people can't follow their bliss and they need to make money. And money helps you follow your bliss in other ways too. So, taking a job that
Yeah.
helps pay your bills, especially when you're young, is a fantastic idea. And look at the power of compound interest too. If you make a little bit more and save a little bit more early in life, which is incredibly difficult these days, then you can help set yourself up to have more freedom of choice later too. Yes, follow your bliss within reason, because there are a lot of people following their bliss and following their passion who can't pay their bills. And we don't want that. And we don't want people who can't pay their bills, because then you can't follow your bliss, right? It's the other one feeds off the other.
I'm like wasting my time in a way because I'm not going to be wasting my time. Like it'll
When you're
be.
young, you don't everything is a learning experience when you're younger. Like if you are in a job that is not serving you, yes, look
Mhm.
for that passion project that's going to serve you. Look for that job that serves your purpose. I mean, I have an enormous fulfillment in what
Mhm.
I'm able to do in helping students.
Mhm.
Could I get paid more? Oh yeah, I could be
Yeah.
paid a lot more, honestly. And almost any other job I could be paid way more. But
Yeah.
the passion that I have and the way that it feeds my soul and my purpose to be able to help people in this specific way is just so immeasurable. I could do that in a job that pays better, but I couldn't do it in this way. And
Yeah.
this way is unique, very special in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, but I got a family to support.
Yeah.
It lit you up, but not as much as beauty.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the key. You find things that light you up that you can get paid for.
I at one point I did want to like start my own brand. Like I mean, that'd be so cool. But realistically, like if I like helping people, if I like doing what I love like with makeup and skincare, I was like I can always like have a little bit of both. So I could work at HR but also, still be connected to a brand that I work for. And
Mhm.
I could still work in that company. So I was like
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely. In my AI and personal branding class, that's what we encourage many people to do. It's like a side hustle.
that'd be so cool. And even now, like looking at videos or like TikToks of actual people working at these corporations, I'm like,
Mhm.
y'all look like y'all are having so much fun. Like, I
That's
want to
TikTok,
be,
though.
I
That's
know,
Instagram. It's always edited. It's an edited life.
I
But yeah,
know.
there are great things and great perks about working for larger corporations. And there are, a lot of downsides and risks for working for yourself. But when you
Yeah,
work for yourself, you own it.
yeah,
You own what you put into it. And that's a very different equation. And,
yeah,
I mean, if you think about it, like, why doesn't everyone just work for themselves? Well, it comes down to risk tolerance, the rewards versus the risk, and how that equation works out. A lot of people would much rather have a salary and that security of a salary.
see, and that's like the other thing, finding out like how to work around like your work life and then personal
Work-life balance. Yeah, and that work-life balance is impacted by salary, because if you don't make enough money, you can't go anywhere when you have time off. You can't do the fun things with the kids. You can only go fishing so many times, you can only go to the park so many times. And
life.
yes, there's tons of free things to do, but life costs money. It's a balance for sure.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, like the new UTSA Career Center on their
Mhm.
homepage has the drop-in schedule, which is fantastic.
That's cool.
In person, no appointment necessary. And these are the people who, are experts in helping people to get jobs, right? That's their whole job, is to help you get a job. And UTSA wants their students to have jobs. So, what I mean? Like, we want you to work when you graduate so we can say, we did a good job. They got jobs.
Yeah.
So they have relationships with some companies as well. And then they have career fairs with those companies, which is a whole list of different resources to help you. Mock interviews through VMock. When I used to teach business and professional speech, I used to require students to go do a mock interview and record their interviews, and then we give them feedback on that. Obviously, Handshakes, they use that probably the most.
Yeah.
That's why it's top left. It's basically the UTSA career portal. Yeah. And then register for interactive workshops, drop-ins. Yeah. I've got my Lord of the Rings poster up there. He says all we have to do is decide what to do with the time we have, basically, is what he's saying. And he tells Frodo this on his journey to Mordor, nerding out. But the point is, how you decide what you want, and then you use these as resources. And they can help you decide what you want. I don't trust the tests as much as I should, because I understand that those tests are often not scientifically sound. The tests are starting points for competencies that will help diagnose and prognose what you might be good at and where you might want to go. But that certainly doesn't diagnose my follow my bliss, my passion. My test didn't say you're going to be lit up by serving college students and that's your people. My test didn't tell me that. My test might have said, oh, you're good at speech. They didn't say go be a speech professor. They didn't say go be a communication or PR professor. They didn't say go teach podcasts. Those sorts of things, you really got to do introspective work to say, what really lights me up? And if it's the beauty industry, don't give up on that ever, because you can make money in America. That's one of the beautiful things about our country. You can make money in America doing almost any kind of industry, any kind of job. And if your passion is beauty, there's people out there who want to hire you because they know that your passion will make them money. If I had a beauty business, I'd be like, okay, this person is super passionate. And because they're passionate, I know that by investing training dollars in them, I'm not going to lose them to another place because they already have the bill. I can't teach you to be passionate about your job. I can't teach you to have an amazing, attitude about beauty and about makeup. You have to bring that to me.
Yeah. When you put it like that, yes.
The most attractive candidates have the passion. Mm-hmm.
The call was 27 minutes long. And at the very end, she did ask me why I chose USAA, what I majored in, and all of that. But then at the very end, she goes, I'm gonna ask you one last question, and it's like a sales question.
The truth is everyone is always in sales all the time. They don't realize it. And people don't want to be salesy and they don't want to say, oh, I'm in sales, or, oh, I convince people to do things. But the truth is, if you're trying to be heard, you're convincing people to listen to you. If you're trying to communicate with a coworker, you want them to know that you have something to say. Like, the world is made of influence, and all the world is a stage, as Shakespeare had, right? Like, we're all just players and on the stage. So influence and persuasion and sales are things that everybody knows how to do, but no one wants to admit they do because they don't want to be seen as salesy. They don't want to be seen as manipulative, right? But it's only manipulation or coercion if you're using unethical means. If you're using good arguments, that's good debate. That's what our entire country is founded on. It's founded on the right to make good arguments.
No, yes.
We're all salespeople. Every one of us. We're all salespeople.
Yeah.
That means that you're practicing communication, verbal skills a lot more than other people, right? And so the challenge then becomes to setting aside time for awareness and reflection on what you spoke about, because speaking, like writing, is a path to understanding. And if you can analyze and reflect on what you say out loud, like,
Yeah.
I love beauty. Oh, I didn't know that until I said it.
Mhm.
Like, wow, now I say it out loud, I realize that I really do love this thing.
Yeah.
That's a way of clarification and thinking, just like writing is a way to improve your thinking, speaking is a way to improve your thinking.
Yeah, no. I
And it's a
do.
different pathway in the brain too, because speaking is a different pathway than writing. When
Mhm.
you write things, you're activating different parts of the brain. Whenever you're speaking, you're activating different parts of the brain. And they're both important. If you're going to make a decision, it's important to both write and speak about it so that you can
Mhm.
write your thoughts out and you can speak your thoughts so that you can get to that personal truth that is, what do you want to do?
Ooh.
What can I do with this major? And they have major categories, A to Z index, and they have a whole list here of all sorts of things that you could do. So public relations, for example, here's some common career paths for that. Here's some employer ideas, media companies, advertising agencies, PR firms. Yeah,
Yeah.
this gives me ideas of other places that I can look for a job, especially when the labor market is constrained as it is now. So here's some media ones. You can practice, and that's one of the cool things about student organizations. It gives you a chance to practice thing in a non-internship way that
Mhm.
is like an internship, especially if you volunteer for a leadership role. If you're interested in PR, for example, hi,
Mhm.
I'd like to do PR for your organization. And it doesn't need to be Content Creators UTSA, but any organization that fits your career goals. That's the
Mhm.
worst thing that can happen. Okay, well, what happens next? I have to find a new job. Well, that sucks, but not the end of the world. Like I'm a talented person. You're a talented person. We probably can find other jobs. They may not be the job we want right now, but guess what? Next year, I could find the job that I really want. I just need
Mhm.
this one to pay the bills. You see what I'm saying? So playing what's the worst that can happen if I post this is a really way to get over the fear of posting because it's like, oh, well, the worst thing that
Yeah.
can happen is I probably won't lose my job. There may be someone on the other end that says, wow, this guy doesn't know anything about communication, but he's a communication professor. Well, I don't really care about their opinion, so I can post it. You know what I mean? Like
True.
that's how you
Yeah.
get over things. Okay, well, and not only that, but like for my podcast, for example, I'm learning in public.
Mhm.
My whole point is I'm trying to learn from my guests. Being able to learn in public is what I should be doing. And no, I don't have all the answers. And that's part of my ethos, right? Like I want to always be curious. That's a core value that's a part of my soul is to be able to ask those kinds of questions.
Yeah.
And also I love human beings and getting to talk to people. So
Mhm.
it serves so many different functions, podcasting. That's why I love teaching this class too, is because
Yeah.
I figure if people can learn how to podcast, they can learn how to do all sorts of things because it's all interrelated. And learning in public is a great way to show employers that you are curious and that you are interested in professional development too, right?
Yeah.
But bring
I
it back
guess.
to the
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, no, and I guess it does give you like a sense of like authenticity that you can do like, wow.
Exactly. Yeah, authenticity. That's a good word. And that's the thing, you're being yourself, asking the questions that you want to ask. One of the
Yeah.
things that I had to be convinced to do is I thought I had to have a professional background all the time. And I talked to the personal branding experts because I'm teaching that AI and personal branding class. They're like, no, you need to show your personality. That helps people connect authentically with you. And I was like, okay, I can put my toys out. I got my Optimus Prime. I got my Yoda.
Yeah.
I got my personality back there now. And yeah, it's out of focus. And I still have my professionalism happening over
Yeah.
here. If I need to turn
Uh-huh.
the camera, I'm professional over here, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that took me a while to get over that, but it's a process like anything else.
Yeah.
I need to get over it and just share my toys with the world.
What a way to put it.
Yeah. Like the worst case scenario for these tests is you learn a little bit about yourself. And
Mhm.
the truth is, what you want changes over time. So
Mhm.
it's a good thing to do every 6 months
Yeah.
or every month, whatever your tolerance for reflection is to reflect on, okay, am I fulfilling every time I ask myself this, I'm like, man, being a university instructor, teaching students, it's a dream. It's a dream come true. Doing the work of asking the questions now is going to set you up for so much more success later. And then you'll have a better, clear answer for should I take this insurance job? And
Mhm.
the other thing is, do I need money? Well, that solves a lot of questions.
My other question, which I guess ties back in to like you can make it like a side hustle, but like let's say you have like hobbies. Like how do you know your hobby isn't what you're meant to do? You know what I mean? Or what you
Try a bunch when you're young, you try a bunch of things. And if it doesn't light you up, don't
don't do,
do it.
yeah.
Playing the piano. Well, at first it's hard because you got to learn something new. But
Hmm.
if you really love music, you're going to go through the pain of learning how to play the piano, right? If you're
Yeah.
really into music and music is your jam and you want to be a musician, well, you probably shouldn't only play one instrument if you want to be a musician. You should
Yeah.
probably learn a different instrument and see how that feels and then try another one. And I think that the hobbies question is the same thing. It's like, how do I want to spend my time when I'm not with my family and I'm not working?
Mhm.
Well, podcasting was one of my answers, right? Because
Um,
it's fun. And the
yeah.
conversation we're having now, it's
Mhm.
fun to me. Like I love connecting with people. So that for me was put into that category of this musical instrument is one that I will suffer to learn more about because
Mhm.
I love music. And it's the
Mhm.
same for any hobby. You love makeup, learning the different techniques of application, learning the different tools and the color palette, right?
Yeah.
Toolbox, the color palette, whatever metaphor you want to use, all of those things are important for you to learn because it drives you and lights you up.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
the best way to learn is to try it.
To
And
try, yeah.
and trying it takes time. So take the time
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you technically should have more time now than if you had a family, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
now's the time to try a bunch of stuff. Maybe it's not
Yeah.
beauty that lights you up the most. Maybe it is insurance. You don't know unless you put yourself in those shoes. I'm not saying you have to take the job to know, but you can
Mhm.
say, okay, as an insurance broker, here's what I'd be doing. As an insurance service professional, here's what I'd be doing. What are the licenses I need in this job? Show me the full career path. Here's another one. This is called My Next Move. It's on that same list. Like, just play with these, right? Like, what's it going to hurt to look at My Next Move? Okay, let's view that. So, mynextmove.org is going to help me. I want to be a boom. I'll know it when I see it by industry. I'm not really sure. Start public relations. Boom. Got some ideas now. Public relations managers, knowledge, skills, abilities. Like, look at that salary. People out of college think, oh, I should be making this. It doesn't work that way. I
Yeah.
wish it did. I really wish it did. Public relations managers, you start here and you work your way up to that, just like any other industry. Sorry, honey, I'm doing research for my work. Gotta be.
Gotta keep
I
scrolling.
gotta keep scrolling. I'm just researching. I'm just doing my job here. Okay. No, you're just having fun. Look, my job is fun. It's not my fault. This is public relations specialist, which sounds like the same kind of job as a manager. Oh, there it is. That's more of an entry level then. Okay, this is going to help me write my path of what I want to do. This is what I would do. Am I comfortable creating intended public image for individuals, groups, or organizations, writing?
I mean, there's always more to learn.
Of
There's
course.
always more to learn.
Of
So
course.
it'd be nice. It'd be really nice to come back.
Yeah. So there's a couple ways to do that. One is just keep on going and don't stop and apply for the program as soon as possible. The other one is to try to find an employer who has that as a part of their compensation package, where, oh, we will pay for you to go. We have a paid college thing, and we can pay for your master's degree somehow, or partial payment for your master's degree somehow. A lot of people end up doing it that way. See if you can get an employer to pay for it, or you pay for it yourself. Why? And that's one of the reasons why you got a better job. And the other thing is, this isn't the only source. They want you to think this is the only source, of information. But LinkedIn Learning through your UTSA account, you have a LinkedIn profile. That's another assignment in AI and personal branding is your LinkedIn profile. So because you have a LinkedIn profile and because you're a student at UT San Antonio, you have access to LinkedIn Learning, which normally you'd have to pay for LinkedIn Pro for. So we have access to the Adobe Learning Program, the Coursera certificate program in limited fashion, and this LinkedIn Learning program. And a LinkedIn Learning, for me at least, is the most accessible because you just sign in through your UTSA ID and connect it, and you have your LinkedIn Learning. My approach to these sorts of things is you look for the certificate eligible kind of things. And if I click on my profile here, I scroll down the bottom here and it says licenses and certifications. So here are the ones that I've done. And this one I did in July through another company that wasn't LinkedIn called Section. And these were some AI things that I did, AR for PR and communication. These are some of the things that I've done. And this is for my teaching, right? UTSA paid for this, which was nice. This I had to pay for myself because it was a different organization. But again, LinkedIn Learning, which looks like this, these are all free. I did these without having to pay anything. People change careers way more often than they used to. So don't feel like whatever you do now is something you have to do the rest of your life. Just do
Mhm.
the best with the information you have about yourself now. Okay, I know this about myself. I need to make a living. I need to make some money.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of people, when they say follow your bliss or follow your passion without that piece of information, those are people who already have jobs and they're successful and they retiring. Like you said, that guy is
Yeah.
retiring. He's not in the same place. And the advice, follow your bliss, is important and you should pay attention to it. Only after you know you can pay your bills. It's really important to have that mission and that purpose well defined, and it can change. So it's no big deal. It takes time to change, but you're at an age and at a stage in life where you have the opportunity to change your mind. So don't feel like you're trapped because you're not, which is awesome. And the
Yeah.
best situation is, again, combining your bliss and your bills.